Ladies and gentlemen, we have been working all day and now it's after work. I'm Joe and welcome back to Nintendo Spotlight Pocket Edition. Before we go any further, I just want to thank you guys so much on the feedback for the first episode, Streets of Red. It's been doing amazing and I just hope you guys are enjoying the brand new content that I'm trying to bring to this channel, and especially with the Nintendo Spotlight, this series means so much to me. You guys know that indie games on the Nintendo consoles have been my thing for the last 2 years now, I want to say, and so we're just finding new ways to share that spotlight with these hard-working developers that deserve every bit of shine that we can give them. So without further ado, I present to you Episode 2, Shantae and the Half-Genie Hero, Ultimate Edition. Just a quick disclaimer, I was given a review copy for this game. It rarely happens, but it did happen in this case, and in one other Nintendo Spotlight that I will be doing in the future, I was given a review copy for. Otherwise, I'm normally buying the games. So thank you again, WayForward, for providing me with a review copy to be able to do this Nintendo Spotlight Pocket Edition for you guys, and also share it with you guys in the stream a little bit earlier. So before we get into what the game is about, there are a multitude of things that you should know about this going in. If you have Shantae Half-Genie Hero already on the Nintendo Switch or on previous consoles, and you've purchased the 2 DLCs, then you already have a majority of what this game includes, because it's sort of like a definitive edition. That's an ultimate edition. It's got the main game, it's got the 2 DLCs, and it does include 3 new modes, which we're going to get into, but first let's talk about the main game. Shantae is awakened by a voice in the middle of the night, coming through a secret basement of her Uncle Mimic's workshop. In this cave, she's warned by a messenger of genies of an impending evil that only she can defeat. After waking up from whatever it was, Shantae finds herself having to locate 5 pieces for Uncle Mimic's latest invention, the dynamo, which in theory would help Scuttletown defend itself from the monsters without the need for having Shantae always jump in to save the day. Which her title quickly gets revoked from the mayor directly right in the workshop in front of everybody. The most savage move of all savage moves, being fired in front of everybody. The mayor basically tells her she's been replaced by a mysteriously good at everything half-genie whose father was a stage magician. Her name, Holly Lingerbean. Where they come up with these names I have no idea, but they're amazing. Throughout the journey you run into problem after problem, preventing Shantae from immediately finding these items, from Risky Boots, Tinker Slug, to Giant Mermaids, to Baron Squid. Each main stage gives you a brand new power-up in the form of transformations. These transformations are reminiscent of that in Dragon's Trap, where you use these transformations to progress through the next area of the game. What I found most intriguing is how the game relies on you to use these powers to go back to previous levels to obtain the items you need to help Uncle Mimic's dynamo. And that's where it becomes a little bit more Metroidvania, similar to Pirate's Curse, if any of you guys have played that one. Finding these parts doesn't entirely feel fetch questy, since they revolve around platforming and puzzle solving in order to get these parts in between each main stage beaten. I found these power-ups incredibly satisfying to use, and much like in Pirate's Curse, I never really felt they overstayed its welcome, especially when these transformations have upgrades of their own, which you have to locate as well. The game's story overall is pretty well paced and felt way more streamlined, backtracking included when comparing it to its predecessor. I never really felt like I had trouble looking for where I needed to go. As long as I spoke to the right people through Scuttletown, I pretty much understood what was going on. Now, I know I may be an outlier in saying that, but I felt like Pirate's Curse was way more challenging than Half-Genie Hero, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I felt like this game really improved on some of the issues that I had with Pirate's Curse. Overall, I had a blast playing through the main story so far, and just like in Pirate's Curse, this game does have multiple endings, so be sure to keep an eye out for everything. Everything. So that's just the main story. This game has so much more content packed in. You have a hero mode, which you do unlock in the original Half-Genie Hero if you have that game. However, this is just unlocked from the get. You play with all your power-ups, but you're going through the original story, kind of like how you unlock pirate mode in Pirate's Curse, and you play with all the pirate parts already, basically all of Risky Boots' armor. You're playing with all your transformations right from the get in hero mode. And for all you masochists out there, there's a hardcore mode, which is basically a harder difficulty of the main story of the game. So with the main story stuff out of the way, let's get into the crux of all the other stuff that's included in this game. You have 2 DLC packs in Pirates Queen Quest and Friends to the End, and 3 other additional modes. Let's start off with the first DLC, Pirate Queen's Quest. So in this DLC, I will warn you, spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to get anything spoiled, I left a time code in the description down below that skips to the 3 new modes included in this game, which are not spoilers. So 3, 2, 1. You play as Risky Boots, and this game takes place in the final act of Shantae Half-Genie Hero, where you've managed to swap the blueprints to the dynamo, which inverts light magic, turning Shantae evil. It gets pretty wild. It's a wild scene. While that part of the journey is going on in the second DLC, Friends to the End, in Pirates Queen Quest, you'll need to find 5 upgrades to increase the dynamo's power, which you're trying to create the Tinker Brain, which is the final boss of the main story. And from that point forward, Risky Boots' goal is to pull all the light magic from the Genie realm. Yeah, she's pretty twisted, guys. You pretty much go through all the places Shantae's previously been to, fight the same bosses for the most part from what I've seen, and the only difference really is you're playing through as Risky Boots and have her abilities that you're getting throughout the game. It's a shorter DLC than the main story, but it serves its purpose, and I still found it pretty enjoyable. It was the last one that I had tried for all of them, so I did feel a little bit of the fatigue, but I think once I had jumped in and started playing the main story again, I felt a little bit more refreshed to jump back in. I enjoy the dialogue. Whoever does the writing to this game is always amazing, because the dedication to the writing in all the dialogue that I've read throughout this game, whichever DLC I end up playing, even if it's the main story, even going back to Pirate's Curse, has always been awesome and hilarious and top-notch, so kudos to you guys. Moving on to the second DLC, Friends to the End. Again, this one, including spoilers, so if you want to skip, I've left the time code again. 3, 2, 1. The second DLC also takes place in that final act, the same point of Pirate Queen's Quest where Shantae is turned evil, except this time you're playing as Roddy Tops, Bolo, and Sky all at the same time. This was pretty awesome, I gotta say. So like I mentioned, just like in Pirate Queen's Quest, Uncle Mimic's new contraption goes awry, and Risky Boots inverts Shantae, Shantae turns evil, yada yada yada. However, Shantae's friends go inside this black hole looking thing, which ends up being her mind, a la the Nightmare Realm if you're listening to Bolo. And while you're in her mind, you're pretty much trying to find the true Shantae, and she's leaving you clues throughout the game, showing you her journey and some of the dialogue going along in order to kind of help you find where she is, so you can save her from the evil that's consumed her. I really like that each character has their own unique set of skills, and again, it isn't a reskin of any other character prior. They put so much love, Way Forward puts so much love into each bit of DLC. They really fully flesh out like the character design to make sure that nothing ever feels the same, and I have to give props where props are due to that, because whenever a company can do a DLC of some sort and it involves revisiting old spaces, it could sometimes just be a reskin of a character and it's the same abilities, but it just has the look of a new character. And in this case, Way Forward just knocks it out of the park with making sure every character feels different than the last. You got Bolo, who can punch bricks and grapple objects, Roddy Tops, who throws her head around to get through obstacles that would normally just destroy you, and with Sky, you can glide and throw eggs to birth new platforms. You see it right there. It's hilarious. I love the fact that you're constantly switching around between the 3 characters to progress through the game, as opposed to only selecting one at a time. It increases the puzzle solving factor, and it keeps you on your toes in making sure that you're trying to switch between all 3 characters. They get their equal time in the game. So here we are. If you've skipped through the 2 DLCs, I totally understand. For me, I had to go through them, so I had part of the ending ruined for me, part of it, just to make sure I understood what was going on for this spotlight. So if you made it this far, or you've skipped ahead because you didn't want to hear about the DLCs and you didn't want to get them spoiled, totally understand. Thank you. Let's talk about these awesome arcade mode styles that they have included with the Ultimate Edition. These are fresh, these are brand new, these are not in any of the other games on the other consoles if you've purchased them previously. So just a heads up, these are all what if scenarios that are arcade based. The first one being ninja mode, where you go through as a ninja, you're slashing, you're dashing, you're holding onto walls and jumping around a la Samus style, which is pretty awesome. You have a leveling up system, and this goes for all three of them as we're going through. You have a level up system that your max is level 4. That's going to be like your ultimate strength. However, if you get hit once at level 4, you bounce back to level 3. And the way you build up your leveling is collecting gems. So that is crucial. If you get hit, you lose gems. So there's a consequence to all of that. On top of that, you still have your 3 hearts. So you got to keep an eye out on your health. You have to keep an eye out on your gems, and just making sure you have enough magic to use your triple stars as you're gaining levels. Your stars will go from single stars to double to triple, or I think it just goes to triple. I might be remembering that wrong. Beach mode is probably something that is going to be seen all over DeviantArt. I already have it pictured in my head what's probably happening. What is wrong with me? I'm playing too much Shantae, I apologize. So you're donning a bikini suit, you go through all these stages of the game trying to find the perfect tanning spot. Make sure you grab a lot of lotion along the way to make sure you don't burn up. No, seriously, if you burn up, you lose health and you die. You have a bubble that you can put yourself in that uses up magic, and it can temporarily help stop the sun rays, but ultimately, hearts and lotion are going to be your best friends and keep you alive in this mode. Officer mode is probably my personal favorite. This one's dedicated to the fans of Mighty Switch Force. You don a cyber suit and go through levels, switching up platforms to progress through each stage. The higher your level, the better your arm cannon gets. I like this mode the most because it's the only one of the 3 where your main weapon changes functionality as you leveled up. And again, just like in the previous 2 modes, this one, the leveling system works the same way. Collect gems, pay attention to your health. The one thing though that is different from this mode from the other 2 modes is can't jump into water because you will die. Remember, you're in a cyber suit, so electricity and malfunctions cause explosions. Out of the 3 arcade modes, beach mode was by far the most challenging. Office mode had my favorite power-up and utilized the level up system best when it came to changing up the functionality of the weapon out of the 3 costumes. And all 3 modes had their own dedicated dialogue and music accompaniment to each mode. It doesn't get any more fan service than that. WayForward went above and beyond with all this, and I understand that part of this was like Kickstarter stuff and whatnot, but holy hell, the amount of content that's in this edition is by far the definition of fan service. Between the main story, the hero mode, and the hardcore mode, to including 2 DLCs that released last year, and including 3 new arcade modes, which, yes, granted, you're playing through all the levels all over again. They went out of their way to include new dialogue, to include new music, to change up the gameplay in all 3 of those modes, which is why Shantae Half-Genie Hero Ultimate Edition is this week's Nintendo Spotlight. You can pick it up digitally for $29.99. Now, I will say, looking at the Nintendo website right now, directly from their page, the Shantae page for Ultimate Edition, my page does say $27, so maybe there might be a sale that happens on the 8th, or if this is just a pre-purchase sale, because it is up for pre-purchase right now. And the physical of this Ultimate Edition will be $39.99, so keep that in mind. It does include some cool stuff. It's got like a soundtrack, and I think there's an art book in there as well. So it's really nice that WayForward is embracing the fact that the physical copy, although it's $39.99, we are not seeing that price for the digital. We're getting it $10 cheaper digitally, which I applaud. I wish more companies did that. And again, full disclosure, I did receive a review copy for this game, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and I will be showing my support to WayForward by buying the Ultimate Edition. I have it pre-ordered already. I'm just waiting for it to pick up on Best Buy on May 8th. And I did buy Half-Genie Hero when it first came out on the Switch, as well as the first DLC. I don't think I bought the Friends to the End DLC, but I pretty much had waited for this game to come out so that way I can do a full playthrough on the Twitch channel, which we have been doing, and we may be on our way to beating this game over the weekend, possibly. And then I'm just going to jump right into the DLCs because I have been having a blast with this game so far. Thanks so much for sticking it through. If you enjoy what you saw here and you enjoy these pocket editions, let me know in the comments down below. Give it a like and share it with your friends. Let them know what we do here. Play video games after work, and I love talking about them, and I love talking about them with you. We live stream every day except for Wednesdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. to midnight. Some days we do change it up a bit just because of whether I'm recording episodes for these or for Planet Nintendo podcast, then we cut down by like 30-45 minutes. Otherwise, that's usually the time you can catch me streaming. And I'll see you guys next time. So I'm gonna leave a couple videos up here. I'll leave the last episode of Pocket Edition up so you can check that out, as well as Collector's Edition, which is another new series that I've started here on the channel. And stay tuned, there is another series that I am working on that we're just getting into the full motion of ramping up brand new content here, and I'm really excited, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying this so far. So with that, take care, love y'all.